The reason Trayvon Martin died was because he looked a certain way, and that way is how gangsters look. I don't think George Zimmerman would have any problem with him, but he was wearing a hoodie.
If he was high on some drug, angel dust or PCP or something, then we'll know. And that's entirely possible. Entirely possible. You could take a lot more than 6 bullets and keep charging.
You dress like a thug, people are going to treat you like a thug.
Extraordinarily, they called it a hate crime. Well, it's because it was a white guy, apparently, and a black church.
Many of them are ill-educated and have tattoos on their foreheads, and you know, how are you going to, and I hate to be generalized about it, but it's true.
He looked like a skinny ghetto crackhead.
Well, say you're a cocaine dealer, and you kind of look like one a little.
Television since the spread of commercial TV programming in the early 1900s. It's been estimated that for the 2016-2017 television season, 118.14 million homes will be tuned into a commercial TV station. These TV stations mold the public's opinions on issues, but with these stations they report with a bias. The top news stations, called the Big Three, consist of equally biased conservative Fox News, liberal CNN, and left-leaning MSNBC. These news stations and their news anchors show their implicit bias when it comes towards race. According to the study by Color of Change, of the 51% of the arrested in New York who are black, 75% of news stations will purposely decide to highlight more time on just alleged black perpetrators. By doing this, they cause a certain attitude or bias towards said race being reported on, which often leads to discrimination and the dehumanization of a group of people. Some major examples where this is apparent are cases such as Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Darian Hunt. During one of these investigations, the news stations would focus more on the suspect, who in these cases were the victim. They would focus on whether or not the suspect, or the victim, had a criminal history, or had it coming through provoking the victim, or just bias through asking for the suspect's race. For example, in the Trayvon Martin investigation, NBC, one broadcaster said, "This guy looks like he's up to no good. He looks black." This type of dehumanization causes viewers to adapt a racial bias. It fuels the misconceptions people have of others. But when it comes to a white suspect or criminal, news networks lessen the impact of their crime through justifying their actions. For example, a 16-year-old white girl hijacked an Uber and stabbed the driver, but news stations humanized her by portraying her as naive and young. But they could not humanize Tamir Rice, who was just only 12 years old playing with a toy gun when an officer decided to shoot him, as he looked over 18. Another example is Dylan Roof. They said he was just a troubled teen with a bad family history and that he isn't a criminal, while he did kill several African Americans in a predominantly African American church. The perpetual dehumanization of these young victims supplements a cycle in which the viewers of the news shows are compliant in believing these so-called truths, which enforces the impact of the newscaster's bias towards the subject. In conclusion, we rely too much on biased news.